What's going on, YouTube? What's up, Raider Nation? I'm Bubba the Raider, coming at you guys tonight. It is Tuesday. Had a few days to, or sorry, it's Wednesday. My bad. Teacher brain. I'm a teacher and I'm tired. Coming at you Wednesday to talk about some of my thoughts about this team right now. Kind of give a quarter season report card, essentially, progress report. And the first thing I want to say after thinking about this, I've let my emotions settle down. It's heated just like you. I want to say, calm down. We need to calm down, Raider Nation, because we look like crap. We look like absolute shit last night. However, not last night, Monday night, my bad. I'm hearing a lot of talk about certain things that they're not problems, right? Every team goes through what we went through on Monday. Maybe not the exact same way. That first half was abysmal, but every team goes through this. There's only been one team in the history of this league to go undefeated all the way through and win the Super Bowl, and that's the 1972 Miami Dolphins, and they only played, 12 games in the season. So every team goes through this, right? There's literally only one team left that hasn't yet this season. So a couple of things that I've been hearing people talk about, problems that are not, they're problems, right? Like there's issues, but they're not as, in my mind, as awe-struck, like insane issues, right? We have some problems that are real problems to me right now that are very much more pressing than others. The number one thing I want to say calm down about is this loss. The Chargers are a good team. There's no such thing as an easy division game, okay? We know this. We know that there are times when we're the worst team in the division and we play against the best team in the division, and we take it to them or we beat them. Or when, anyway, you watch any game between the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers, it's a tough game. You very rarely ever get blowouts. And they show up and we show up, and that's what happens. So just put this loss behind us. We need to take this one game at a time. And, I say that to us because we're not, doing anything in terms of winning the game or losing the game, but something that we need the team to do as well. But we got to start thinking about this one game at a time. Number two thing that people need to calm down about is Derek Carr. I am a notorious Derek Carr defender, and I'll be right up front and honest and biased. He's my favorite player in the NFL. I think without question, he's the best player on this team. I think he is the most talented quarterback the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, Los Angeles Raiders have ever had. That's my opinion. People want to talk about him tucking the ball and kind of curling up when getting sacked by, was it Justin Jones or whatever there? Of course he did. How many times have Raider fans and coaches and players crapped all over him because he gets hit and he fumbles the ball? So he put both hands on the ball and curled up and basically gave himself up so as not to fumble the ball, lose the ball. We're in position to kick a field goal. Of course he did. People, it's like he can't. I get where Carr haters, because I'm guilty of this. What they say, everyone always makes excuses for him, and sometimes I am a little bit too excusey for him. But he's got a lot of built-in excuses. But I don't get the inconsistencies. You want him to not fumble the ball when getting blindside hit. So he tucks the ball and he gives himself up. But you don't want him to give himself up. So he checks down, but you don't want him to be captain check down. What do you want from the guy? He's trying to protect the ball. He's trying to protect the field position and the ability to be in the game, score points. So people just need to calm down on Derek. That's just it's a stupid take. And his connection with Ruggs. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about the connection to Ruggs. I've seen nothing but growth between the two of them. They miss on a few, but so do Mahomes and Hill. Like, it happens. And I'm not saying that they're as good a connection as Mahomes and Hill. Of course they're not. They haven't known each other that long, haven't figured it out. But Derek Carr, I don't know if that's still the case going into this week statistically, was the best at throwing the deep ball, and most of those have gone to Henry Ruggs. So in the league this year. And so, like, people want to talk about that shot he missed at the end, and I agree, but if my memory serves me, he was under some pretty heavy pressure while rolling, trying to connect on a ball 40 yards down, and he overshot him by 6 feet. And that's stuff that needs to get tightened up. I'm not saying that it's not a problem, and we could have won the game and you want it back and all those things, but you can't be like, oh, Derek Carr, blah, 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 because that's not the case. Josh Jacobs, I've heard people suggest we move on from Josh Jacobs. I love Josh. Is he the most talented running back in the NFL? No, he's not. But is he superb? Is he a powerful runner? Sorry, my dogs are running around. Is he a powerful runner? Is he cornerstone to this offense? Yeah, I really think he is. He lacks some breakaway speed, but he's important. He's very important. And so he's hurt. It's hard to play that position and be hurt, especially in your feet. And so we probably should have made some adjustments in the first half. And the last thing I'm going to say calm down on with an asterisk, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, we all need to freaking calm down about Alex Leatherwood. He is a kid. First off, if you think that he's going to be benched, you're high as a kite. There is no way imaginable that 4 games in, John Gruden or Mike Mayock are going to go, you know what? You're right. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have drafted him in the first round. We're going to bench him now and think that that's going to be okay. Like, no, that's not what's going to happen. Number 2, he's probably, when he's at his best, one of the better offensive linemen we have at the moment. So take that for what you will. But the most important thing is all young offensive linemen go through these struggles. And I'm not saying that it's not a worry or a concern. How he responds to it moving forward is. We all said the same stuff about Colton Miller. Like, maybe not to this degree, but we all said the same stuff about Colton Miller. And Colton Miller has turned out to be a stud. It's a thing. He needs to quit reaching. He needs to move his feet and get in front of players and stop reaching. You can't reach on someone like Bosa. But the other thing, as fans, you got to be aware that there are very few offensive linemen in this league who can stop Joey Bosa, let alone a rookie offensive lineman who, granted, jumped off sides because he's nervous about stopping Joey Bosa, and that's not an excuse, but it's a reason and it's rational. Like, you should understand that. But when you look back at Joey Bosa's numbers, like, I know Derek was moving a lot, and I'm not saying that Leatherwood had a good game at all. He didn't, but it could have been a lot worse. And he gave up that big strip sack and a couple other things, but it's hard to play offensive lineman and offensive tackle. I do ultimately think we took him for his versatility, and a move to guard eventually might be the way that needs to go, especially if he can't get his feet quicker, and that's fine. But to think that Alex Leatherwood is going to be benched it's not happening. It's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen. We need to be aware that that's a weakness, but he needs to have the ability to learn and to experience. And unfortunately, Raider Nation, he's about to learn and experience, and we're going to have to watch and see how he responds this week, because if you think that, or if he thinks that it's going to get any easier this week, it's not, because we all know who he's about to face off against, and that's Khalil Mack. He'll have Von Miller coming up Soon he'll have Chase Young potentially, or Montez Sweat. Like, he's got tough road ahead. And he's going to give up some plays. He's going to give up some sacks. He's going to make mistakes. Um, you know, players like John Simpson, who, for all intents and purposes, this is essentially the second part of his rookie season. You could call it that because he played pretty much half the season last year. You know, Andre James, he gets a little bit less of a pass with me. It's not a pass either, but like an understanding because he's a veteran and he hasn't played a lot, and I get that. But he's been around these guys. He's got to know. And when it's simple things like getting your freaking snap down, we had last week so many snap issues. When that's a thing, those are areas of concern. So where I think the real problems are, I think our offensive line depth clearly is a real problem. I don't understand why Brandon Parker wasn't on the field. You know, I saw Leatherwood give up some big plays, but I also saw Jordan Simmons, who I didn't even realize who he was, or Luminor, or I saw those guys give up big plays too. And we're hurt. Last year we were able to pull it together with the depth because of COVID stuff. This year we're not gelling, so not yet at least. So we got to see how that goes. I think our DB depth is an area of concern, especially when you've got guys like Trayvon Mullen, who's hurt right now, and that could be a while. I know we just signed Brandon Faceyson, so you know he's a guy who has some experience. Maybe that can help. But our DB depth, I don't want to see Dallin Leavitt on the field anymore. I'm just sick of seeing him on the field. These slow starts, that's a real area of concern. We have yet to play a full football game, and that is a real scary thought. The fact that we're 3-1, and realistically, we spotted the Chargers 21 points and a half, and we're in position. Like, we play full 4 quarters. That's not how that game turns out. And I know that, you know, we just got to figure that out. We've got to come out and start firing on all cylinders right off the bat. And a first half like that can never happen again. Like, that's unacceptable. And finally, a real problem. You know, I'm sitting here and I'm talking about how and it'll feel like I contradict myself a few times in this video, but I say Leatherwood will never be benched in his rookie season, 4 games in. They're not going to accept that loss and that image of them accepting that loss. One loss who I think is a real thing we probably really should look into. Damon Arnett is a liability. Alex Leatherwood's a liability in his learning process, but it's not all bad, and it's going to take learning, and Derek can be conscientious of the fact that that's a growth process, and he can account for that. But when Arnett is on the field, they target him every time, it feels like, and he is giving up big plays almost every time, and he's always hurt. And there's questions about his devotion to the game. He is a liability. And I think it's a situation where we won't move on from him, and they're not going to cut their losses, and they're going to make the excuses, and that makes sense because they're on the hot seat a little bit, and they don't want to say, yeah, you're right, I messed up. They want him to turn out. But it's a lot less forgiving as a corner, you know, because depending on what you call, there's a lot less safety nets. A quarterback can start rolling the other way. You know, you can bring a safety, but then teams got you where they want you. So those are real problems. Some breaths of fresh air this year for me. Hunter Renfrow, obviously. That play, that fake punt, most heads-up play I've ever seen in football, period. I've never seen anything like that before. And I've played for 12 years, and I coached, and I haven't missed watching a Raider or an Oregon Ducks game. I'm a big Oregon Ducks fan, even though I went to Arizona State. I haven't missed watching either of those two teams play since I was 11 years old, and I'm about to turn 31. That was the most heads-up play I've ever seen in football. Jonathan Abram, has been more of a breath of fresh air. He's still a liability in coverage, but he's playing more contained and focused football. And so that's nice to see. He's still popping, right? But he's not uncontained. He's not out of control. He's in control of his body. He's in control of what he's trying to do, and I like seeing that from him. And our young DBs, man, Amik Robertson and Nate Hobbs. I think that, those two are playing phenomenal football. Amik Robertson went out there with the toughest task, 5'11", going up, or 10 or 9 or however tall he is, going up against Mike Williams and shutting him down. That's incredible. That is just incredible. And so I do think that those guys have a future, obviously, in this secondary that is going to be very promising. What that looks like moving forward, Casey Hayward's been a stud, and they're going to learn a lot from him. If it looks like, that they're wanting Hobbs in the slot, in the nickel, and if you've got, moving forward past this year, Mullen outside, and Robertson outside. I know everyone wants Robertson in the slot because he's small, but everyone's saying, dude, that he's studding it up out there, and the fact that he shut down Mike Williams, I'm going to agree with it. So if that's what it looks like in the future, if we bring in another guy, who knows? If Arnett turns out, maybe. I'm not going to hold my breath for that one. But just all the young DBs, sans Arnett, look very promising, very, very good. It's nice to see. A couple things to watch. Number one, I know I'm running a little bit long, but I just want to get my thoughts out there. This game is so important for us coming up here. I remember last year feeling like when we went into the second game with the Chiefs, we were on a high. We had beat teams that we were supposed to lose to. We had already beaten the Chiefs once in Kansas City. They were coming to Vegas, and it felt like we had punched our tickets to the playoffs. And we had just the Falcons and the Jets and just the shittiest teams coming up. Well, we lose that tight game to the Chiefs, and that was on our defense. And I got upset, but I gave it a couple days, and I started to smile, and I thought to myself, if there was ever any fuel to fuel us through and pull the team together and finish this season strong, it would have been that type of a loss. And it had the opposite effect. We went out there and got blown out by the Falcons. We almost lost to the Jets. The Dolphins and Chargers, it just was ugly. And we know, we were all there. We all saw it. That's what this feels like. Let's see how we respond this week. If we go out and we get blown out the way that we did to the Falcons, we need to start to panic a little bit. But if we go out there and we play Raider football the way we know we can, that will bring me to my next point, which is, I said earlier, we got to take this one game at a time, and we do. But if you think about it, we're 3-1. If we can tighten it up and make these adjustments and fix these things, we've got the Bears, the Giants, the Broncos, who everyone thinks is good, but whatever, we'll get there. And again, there's no such thing as an easy divisional game. The Washington football team, the Eagles, and a bye, all before we play the Chiefs. If we could cruise up into Kansas City, I don't know if that first game's in Kansas City or Vegas, but against Kansas City, 7-1 and off a bye, that's a pretty good place to be. But it all starts with this game against the Bears. We got to come in and we got to do it. We got to find a run game. Kenyon Drake needs to be better, man. I watch him run that ball. I was so excited about him, and I hope he pulls it together. It feels like the minute someone makes eye contact with him, he goes down. Like he does not have power at all, it feels like. So I hope that changes. Anyway, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I've been running a little bit late. If you agree, go ahead and tell me why. If you disagree, go ahead and tell me why. I love football discourse. I love talking about these things. We all love the Raiders. We're all rooting for the same team. We're all pissed off right now. I'm really pissed off. I try to be calm on YouTube, but I'm not when I watch the games, and I was definitely not on Monday. Oh, you know what? Joey Bosa, bro. Yeah. Fuck that guy. Like, yeah. So, let me know what you think. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a like if you like this, or dislike if you don't. And just win, baby.